Hello and welcome to the 10th lecture of the series, and it is on a very popular dilemma that many freshers go through to find out whether higher study is the right way for you. One thing I'd like to mention here that in today's world, we overemphasize the word dream, and we say that this is my dream or that is my dream, but we forget to ask ourselves the question why it is our dream, why we're interested in achieving something. And when it comes to pursuing higher study, you should always ask yourself before you actually pursue higher study. And you should also ask yourself whether you are taking a decision due to peer pressure. Are you thinking of pursuing higher study because your friend is doing it? Or are you trying to pursue higher study because your parents are forcing to do it? And also sometimes freshers tend to follow recent trends or take impulsive decisions because they are under a tremendous pressure after graduating, just after finishing their undergrad, and they have to take a decision whether to get settled with a job in their home country or whether they should pursue the higher study. So you should ask yourself whether you are taking the decision for your good or whether you are just following the trend or your impulse and emotion. Freshers' common dilemmas contain dinner tables. When their graduation date is knocking at the door, the dinner tables become very awful and dreadful because parents come up with questions like what you are going to do after you're graduating. And also social gatherings become very awkward because relatives and neighbors and friends, also some well-wishers, they ask what you are going to do. And they get into intense pressure of getting a job right now or getting an offer letter of a grad school right now, due to which they are not able to think clearly about the right path for themselves. And actually what happens when they're under this kind of tremendous pressure, they end up taking a job that they don't like and they get frustrated. And also sometimes they get into grad school without knowing what they're going to study and why they're going to study it, and get frustrated. And that's why there is only one right way to do this. The right way to take a decision is doing proper research before getting a job or before pursuing grad school, which will give you a sense of fulfillment and sense of achievement, and you will be happy with your job or your study. And a lot of the times freshers ask themselves or others, what should I do after I graduate? Because schools or colleges do not prepare us for real life. That's why we end up asking these questions. So my suggestion is that you should ask yourself what excites you, whether a lot of money excites you, or whether research work excites you, or whether you want to contribute to society. And when you get the answer, you should ask yourself whether you can make long-term commitment, and you should visualize whether yourself in several directions. Whether you take this path A, let's say it's an industrial position, where you might be after 5 years and whether you will be happy. Or let's say you want to pursue academia, you want to get a PhD, and you should visualize yourself after 5 years and ask yourself whether you will be happy. And you also think about ways of ignoring peer pressure, impulse, and trend before taking a life decision, because incorporating these parameters into your decision will hamper your decision badly. And also a lot of the time we tend to copycat others, like when our classmate is preparing for a job exam or a job test, we copy them and we also start studying for that job exam. when we see that someone is preparing for GRE and TOEFL, we also think that we should study GRE and TOEFL and pursue higher study. So instead of asking or instead of following what my classmate is doing, I should ask what am I doing and why am I doing it? And also I should find out the areas of my strengths and weaknesses that I can actually sell. When I say the word strengths and weaknesses, I mean expertise in several tools and language skills and soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, all of the things that you write down in your CV or resume. And I have mentioned the waiting game, that it doesn't matter which path you are trying to follow, it will always be consisting of several stages of waiting before you actually end up getting an offer or a job. So you should know how to effectively use your waiting period so that you don't get frustrated. And also, sometimes we take a half-baked decision, meaning sometimes we try to follow we try to pursue both paths at the same time, like preparing for GRE and TOEFL and also preparing for job exams. So that everything is in our hand. But we should always keep in mind that changing track halfway through is really, really difficult. It's very difficult to pursue higher study when you are settled down with a job, and vice versa. So you should, when you are trying to change the track of your career, you should be very courageous and you should be very methodical about it, so that you don't end up losing valuable time in your career. And also, a significant amount of the time in early career will be very stressful, and you should know how to handle the tension associated with it. This slide is about some bitter truths when it comes to pursuing higher study and finding the answer to the question whether it is the right way for you. One thing I have already mentioned, that a rushed decision will hit you big time. Whether today or tomorrow, if you have taken a rushed decision by settling down with a job that you don't like or pursuing grad study that you don't like, you will be frustrated sooner or later. So you should take your time. You should invest time wisely and effectively to find out what your right path is. And you should also know that you will settle down quickly. It doesn't matter which path you will follow. It is very likely that it will settle down quickly. For example, if you get a job, it is very likely that you will continue doing that job instead of leaving it there and pursuing grad study. As I have mentioned, changing the track will be very difficult. So you should take the time before you make the commitment. Another thing is that the situation will never be optimum in terms of timing, money, and peer pressure, meaning that possibly you will not be at a very optimum place in terms of age or timing. You will see that many people have gone ahead in terms of achievements in their career. Many people are earning better than you, and also you have tremendous peer pressure when it comes to taking a career decision. So you have to deal with a non-optimum situation when it comes to taking a decision. And also, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot pursue both paths at the same time. So you should make a committed decision. And also, it doesn't necessarily happen all the time that you make a significant effort and you get the desired result. Many times your obtained results might not be very favorable, and you should always have a plan B, so that you are not just sitting in there without doing anything. And also, you should accept that some of your goals are perhaps not realistic. Sometimes we come up with very grandiose proposals or very non-realistic, or very fast tracks that we want to pursue. And sometimes our goals are not timely. For example, let's say that you are at a very early stage of your undergrad and you are thinking about investing a lot of time to prepare yourself for GRE and TOEFL. So you are not there to take the preparation yet, so it's not timely. And for example, you do not actually know what a grad school looks like. What are their requirements? How does a PhD look like? Yet you are thinking about doing a PhD just because of peer pressure. So in that sense, your goals are not realistic. So you should always set a realistic and timely goal. And as I have mentioned it over and over again, it will always consist of several stages of waiting, and patience is underrated. Patience will always help you in all the stages. And sometimes you will find yourself in a very favorable situation. For example, you will have multiple offers at hand, and you have to negotiate with yourself whether you should take this opportunity or that, whether you should take this job or whether you should pursue a higher study. And you have to let go of a lot of opportunities. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot have it always. And another very important parameter I'd like to mention is that we generally try to emphasize on how many hours we have put behind a career track decision. Rather, instead of that, we should focus on how much results we have generated in that career track. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many hours you have struggled for, rather what you have been able to produce, that is that actually matters. So the more important parameters than hours invested is the results generated. And the takeaway of this lecture is that you should always dream, and you should always try to take a committed decision, a wise decision, a well-thought decision, but you should always wake up, which is more important than having a dream. So that's what I had to share about what is the right way for you when it comes to take a decision on pursuing higher study. Thanks.